All right, everyone jumping in. This is when my participant section gets all crazy. All right, what is going on?
Good afternoon.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello, hello. All right, let me get the chat open so I can see y'all. As you're jumping in, I'd love to know where everyone's from. Are you in the Midwest getting blasted with snow when it was just 75 degrees? Because that's where I'm at. California, Michigan. Yep, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. New Jersey, Colorado. Oh my gosh, I can't get there. Get out. There we go. Pennsylvania, Texas, Utah, Boston. I have family in Boston. Raining in New York. Okay.
Maryland.
Maryland. Love that. Okay. Louisiana. Everyone's from everywhere. All right. Northern Cali, Florida,
Mm,
Brooklyn, Georgia. Awesome. All right. I'm going to give it another minute to let everyone join. Everyone's still jumping in. Indiana, there is snow. We in our community of clients, a client of ours was sharing the 22 inches of snow that she has in her yard, which is insane. It was so warm yesterday, and now we're getting hit with snow. It wouldn't really be the Midwest, though, honestly, if that wasn't the case. No. So it happens, in March. Okay. North Carolina, yeah, I've heard tornado warnings in North Carolina. That's wild. All you Florida people, we're just trying to vibe with you, to be honest. We're just trying to get on your same page. We want the warmth. All right. All right. A few stragglers will jump on in, but I'm going to go ahead and get everything rocking here because we have a lot to cover tonight. And I want to chat with y'all. I want to share as much as possible tonight with you to help you along your journey. Thank you so much for being here. Hi, my name is Alicia Israel. You probably found me on Instagram as the Functional Health Feminist. I am so excited to chat with all of you today because we work with so many women who have PCOS around probably 70 to 80% of our clients now all have PCOS. And so it's absolutely become like a focal point and a passion of ours to help women specifically who, again, have that condition and are trying to live their best life, have more energy, maintain a healthy weight. And a lot of us have felt gaslit throughout our journey, and it's ridiculous, and have done so many things to, again, improve our situation. But we're usually left at square one. So, who here in the chat, before we dive in and get started, who here in the chat has PCOS or thinks they might have PCOS? Or you can give me an emoji. You can give me anything. You can say me. You can give me a heart emoji. You can give me, yes, those fun graphics in Zoom where you hit the button and all the things pop up. Yes. Okay.
Me,
Okay.
I do.
So you're in the right place, right? If that's you, you're in the right place. Is all we're going to be talking about tonight is PCOS. Let me beforehand, really quick, dive into make sure anyone else jumping in here. Just some quick housekeeping before we jump into the meat and potatoes. Is first thing that please, as we're going through the presentation, stay muted. So I'm like a squirrel. I get super distracted if I hear people. So you go ahead and mute yourself through the presentation, but our chat will be open the entire time because all of my coaches are here to answer any question that you have. So again, I can share as much information as possible tonight, and then no question gets overlooked. I want all of you to have the questions that you have answered. So if any question pops up through my chat tonight, by all means, please put it in the chat. And so that, again, you can walk away with a thorough answer and get taken care of. Sound good? So use the chat, light it up, whatever y'all need. Perfect. Okay. Second thing is that my head coach, Alex Bain, so you'll see her on here. Alex, give a wave. So Alex will be reaching out to you if she can't figure out who you are. That means, so what we do is when you are live on these calls, we'll text you a little free surprise. And it's a really cool resource that we built that we only share with our clients. It's called the Optimal Ranges of Blood Work resource. And so Alex will be sending that to all of you. But if she doesn't know who you are, for example, if your Zoom name is iPhone, she's probably going to message you privately and ask for your name so that you can get the free thing. Okay? So she's going to be creeping in your comments or in your messages here. So make sure to keep a lookout. Sound good? All right. Coaches, did I miss anything? No? Okay. Well, let's get into the biggest piece here. Who here is excited to finally, within an hour at least, walk away with more clarity on what to do for your health? If you're excited, I want to see some fire, a heart emoji in the chat. Yes, yes, definitely. Absolutely. Love the fire. Yes. Love that. Party emoji. Great. Everyone's in the right place, like I said. Perfect. Perfect. I love the energy. Love the energy. Okay, let's go ahead and dive in. I'm going to share my screen. We're going to dive right into it. And then again, any questions that pop up, go ahead and ask in the chat and we'll get you answered. So let me go ahead and share. Going to move you all around. Boom, boom, boom. Let me see my chat and let me present. Perfect. Now I'm going to make you all big so I can see you. I don't know if anyone else here runs Zoom meetings or calls, but when I can't see people, it drives me crazy. I feel like I'm talking into the void. And extra kudos. Yeah, I see Gloria. I see you nodding your head. You know what I'm talking about. Anyone who has their camera on today, I'm just going to give you the thank you vibes across the screen. It is so much easier to present or talk about a topic when you can see human faces versus now, granted, I'm not shaming anyone for having their camera off. I just want to make that clear. I'm just saying it's nice. It's nice for me when I can see faces. So if at any point you want to share your face, I would love to see y'all. Thank you. Thank you. Got some nods. Y'all know what I'm talking about. All right. Let's dive in. I'm going to go ahead and make sure everyone's entered here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so excited that all of you are here. Again, my name is Alicia Israel. I'm known as the Functional Health Feminist on Instagram, but I primarily with my team, what we do is we work with women who are struggling with weight loss concerns, hormone concerns, endocrine issues, autoimmune, things of that nature, so that you can finally get the help that you need and most importantly deserve. Okay, I'm just gonna make sure everyone gets entered here. If Alex and Peter, if you want to make sure that the waiting room, everyone gets admitted, there we go. I actually got both up. I should be fine. It separates it when I'm presenting. Okay, put that here. Perfect. My gosh, there's so many people coming in. All right. I want to introduce my coaches here really quick. So my team, like the reason we're able to help the women the way that we do is because of my amazing team. And so I have to shout them out. We have Caitlin, Alex, Mackenzie, and Kelly. Many of them have been with me since no joke, like 2020 for a long time. And they are absolute like ballers at their craft, just amazing skill and also amazing human beings. And everyone on my team, including myself, has a massive amount of education and degrees and credentials and all of this, which is drastically important, right? But even more importantly, I would say, is that every single one of my coaches, including myself, we've gone through our own hormonal struggle at some point. And so we can empathize and understand from a personal and just relatable level of exactly what it's like to go through something like this and to deal with it. Because data is just one thing, education is just one thing. A whole other thing is actually knowing what it feels like. And so while everyone's situation is different, everyone's experience is different, having someone support you or at least being in a room with like-minded women who get it is game changing. So I love that you're here. Again, my team is phenomenal. They'll be answering questions in the chat whenever you have them. But I also want to give an opportunity for all of you on this call right now. How many do we have here? 87. I want all of you to give yourself a pat in the back right now for taking time out of your night. Thank you. I see it. Thank you. Give yourself a pat on the back for taking time out of your night to focus on yourself and to learn more and to move your health forward in any way that you can. Because many people don't. action, taking action, wanting to absorb and understand what's going on with you specifically and to support your health. That's the energy we need. That's baddie energy. And I love that for all of you. So awesome job being here. I hope you're proud of yourself for taking that step and taking the time out and spending it with me and my team. And a little note, yes, I'm educated and my team is educated, but we're also a little silly. Okay, so I have a personality. All right, it's gonna show. I'm not gonna be boring tonight in this call. And I will just throw it out there. I swear a little bit when I get excited. All right, so if I offend you, I'm sorry, but it's coming from a place of passion. I promise. So if I say bullshit, if I say that's bullshit, then it is. That's because it is, right? So you can be educated and silly at the same time. Keep it fun. We're gonna have some fun tonight. Ready to have some fun? Give me an emoji in the chat if you want to have some fun tonight without just being as bogged down with science. Because we're gonna get the science, but we also want to have fun. So give me your most fun emoji in the chat. I want to see the silliest emoji from all of you. We, who wants to have a competition with the silliest emoji? Ghost, clown, there we go. Lots of silly face. Eggplant, I was waiting for it. I was waiting. There we go. Robot arm. Love that too. Awesome. Love it. Gotta have the poop emoji. All right, we're all on the same page. I just had to check real quick if we're all on the same page. I think we are. Oh, I see chickens going off to Tifa's. Yeah, I like that. There we go. There we go. Frog. Yes. Yes. Okay. Why is everyone joining right now? 10 minutes in. I'm like, boop, 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 boop. Okay, let's dive in. So what are we doing tonight? We are talking about, specifically with an endocrine condition, how to lose weight and regulate your cycle, gain energy without doing, remember when I told you I was going to swear, bullshit. All right, we're not removing food groups for no reason. We're not doing gimmicky things. We're going to talk about the science tonight around PCOS specifically, around endocrine conditions specifically, because we've helped so many women do that. And I want to tell you exactly what we see in the space. We'll talk about the types of PCOS and get into all of that. But ultimately, the biggest thing is I want to make sure everyone on this call, after the call, you're walking away doing protocols or whatever it is for your life and your health in the appropriate way that's going to lead to lifelong results, not gimmicks or quick fixes, not something that's actually going to hurt our health long term. Can't do that stuff anymore. So we can't fall for that. We have to focus on what our body needs right now. Sure, it's super important. Give me a head nod if that's important to you. Yes, doing it the right way, not the fad diet, gimmicky diet, like toxic diet culture way. So who are we though? Who's this crazy lady and who are all her coaches? So again, hi, I'm Alicia Israel. I've been in the space for over 10 years. I've been working in functional health specifically for over 10 years, but I've technically been in the space since 2009. And we'll talk more about my story, but I'm so passionate about helping women specifically, especially when we're dealing with hormone issues. So I dealt with it myself. But I'll just give you our fancy mission statement. We are a women-owned and operated company that we coach women specifically, and our mission is to make optimal hormone health attainable. Attainable, evidence-based, and centered around helping women become unstoppable inside and out. And we do that through evidence-based, again, physically and mentally, evidence-based fitness, nutrition, hormone health, and a growth mindset. We like to tackle everything comprehensively because women deserve that, and it should be a comprehensive approach. And like I will always reiterate, because I'm so big on education, is all of the AB coaches, including myself, have master's degrees. I have mine in exercise physiology and sports nutrition, along with 15 other certifications I have alone myself. And we all have licenses in the field, again, along with multiple different certifications and over 40 years experience combined. So I always say this, we're professionals, not Fitspos. And that can be challenging to find sometime on Instagram because it can be a wild, wild west experience out there, right? You Google PCOS or you put PCOS on Instagram and Lord knows what pops up. It's a lot of stuff. Now, some of it's good, right? But, I love the mermaid situation. Tracy, your mermaid game was real strong in the chat. Fellow Buckeye, what's up? Yeah, I worked at Ohio State for 7 years. So before I actually jumped into running a company, again, this is a dream of mine to help women. I actually worked for the Ohio State University as a personal training coordinator for 7 years, where I oversaw the entire personal training department And I realized really quick it wasn't fully what I wanted to do. I wanted to help women specifically because there's such a gap. There's such a gap in care. There's such a gap in education. We'll get into more of that, tonight. But I took that education with me and built what we know now into the team that I have and the women that we serve. So just being mindful of what's out there on Instagram. Not everyone's credentialed. So you got to be careful with that. But really quick, before we dive into some education here, there'll be plenty of that. I want to share a little bit about my journey. Like I mentioned before, I think it's really, really, really important to have a connection to exactly what women experience when we have hormone issues going on. And I had my fair share. I struggled with hormone and gut issues my whole life, but absolutely in extremes, 2015 to 2023. And so there's kind of like a before and after situation going on here when I was at the peak on the left of my symptoms of rapid weight gain, brain fog, hair loss. My hunger cues were crazy, acne, anxiety, fatigue, interstitial cystitis, and the underlying issues, which I found through appropriate testing and the fact that I was educated in this, figuring out exactly what was going on with my body because I was eating well. I was moving. I've been an athlete my whole life. This was my career. What is going on with my body? And I figured out I had these underlying issues of estrogen dominance, low progesterone, high cortisol, hypothyroidism, SIBO, gut issues, H. pylori, insulin resistance, high blood sugar, post-birth control PCOS, all of these things. And this was my field. And I was like, what is happening? And I had to go through all the things to figure it out. So through my journey, I realized how many other women have also dealt with this and had no idea where to go. And that's why I built what I built because man, if I struggled with it, I can only imagine what it would be like for women who didn't have the education that I do or didn't know where to go or when a doctor dismissed them, didn't know that that was not okay. And so it was kind of a mess. I was also losing my hair. My hair was shedding so much. This is a before, this is an after, right? So I'm just giving you guys some hope here that when you figure out the root cause of these issues, you can absolutely, absolutely overcome it. But why did all this happen? And so, a big part of my personal journey, everyone is different. A big part of my journey is that I experienced chronic stress essentially my whole life. I was living in fight or flight for the better part of my life. I grew up in a household of domestic violence. And so that was my normal. My nervous system was very heightened for the very long period of my life. And then I decided to compete in bodybuilding, which adds even more stress if anyone understands what that's like. That eats even more and more and more stress on my body physically. And then I was on birth control for 10 years straight. So when you add all of those things, the genetic component alongside my high stress childhood, competing in bodybuilding, after all that in my 20s were a mess. I was an absolute mess. And this is why I get so frustrated when the eat less, move more crowd says, "Ugh, hormones have nothing to do with it." Bet, bet, sit down. Yes, they do. And everyone on this call, we know that, right? Give me in the chat if you know I got to eat well. I know I got to move well, but I know my hormones impact my health. Give me an emoji in the chat if you agree with that. Yes, hard eyes, absolutely. And there are people on Instagram that don't agree with that. I'm like, that's because you've never had a hormone issue before. That's because you don't specialize in this. You have no education in it. Just because you don't know about something doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Absolutely. So yeah. So I've been through it. And so when women come to us, it's like at a whole different level I can understand and my team can understand. And so what tools and strategies are you specifically going to walk away with today? We're going to talk about the four types of PCOS. A lot of you I recognize chatting with you in the DM, so you probably have this resource, and I emailed it to you yesterday. So check your email. But I do have a whole guide in the four types, but we are going to dive into the four types today. But also why women are experiencing PCOS, the connection, and then also the connection with PCOS and fat loss, or ability to lose weight, and the PCOS impact on fertility and cycle health. And of course, what most women do when they have PCOS and the issues with those things, and what we need to do instead, which is really important. So, the steps that myself and my team do specifically to help women, we're going to tell you exactly what that is so that you know, okay, this is what I most likely am dealing with. This is how to combat that step by step. I'm going to share that with you all tonight. Sound good? You ready for that? Yes. Perfect. Perfect. So what is PCOS? So most of us probably know, at least to a degree, what it is, but we have to go over, make sure everyone's on the same page here. So PCOS is a hormone imbalance that causes women, likely we can skip menstrual cycles, we can gain weight in some areas. Sometimes we have ovarian cysts, but not always. PCOS, I like to almost compare it to IBS. It's almost like a symptom diagnosis a little bit because it can show up in multiple symptoms or multiple areas in our body with various symptoms. And for those of you, again, who maybe were diagnosed with PCOS, let me guess, you went to your doctor, explained you're having all these symptoms like weight gain, maybe you're growing body hair, losing head hair, low energy, things of that nature. And you go to your doctor and they say, okay, well, here's birth control metformin, and that's all that they did. Is that right? I see a yup. Rachel said yup, like some head nods. Yeah, yes, yep, absolutely, yeah. That 100%, 1000%, yeah. Um, However, those treatments don't do anything with the root cause. It doesn't understand how PCOS is showing up for you. And in fact, sometimes these methods can make it worse or can suppress hormones over time. And then when you try to have kids later in life, it becomes a huge nightmare. Okay. So hormone testing must be done to diagnose PCOS, not just imaging. And there are four types: insulin resistance, inflammatory, adrenal, and post-birth control. And we're going to talk about all of them. So the first one, well, before we get into that, with the four types, like I mentioned, a diagnosis usually means two out of the three criteria are required. That means you have to have irregular periods or clinical signs of androgens. Notice I didn't say testing or lab work. I said clinical, which means symptoms such as, again, facial hair growth or body hair growth. And polycystic ovaries, you have to have two out of the three. Some women who have PCOS don't meet two out of three. Doesn't mean you don't have it. You just maybe fall into a different category, a different type, or a pattern, which we're going to talk about. The patterns that are recognized more so in Western med are called phenotypes, A, B, C, D. Why is this method a problem? Because when we have multiple different types of, what is this pencil thing? Get out of here. It says drag to move, but it won't move it. Get away. Why is this a problem? Because these, comparatively to the symptoms or the types of PCOS I just mentioned, they don't tell you anything, right? We need to dig deeper to see how is PCOS showing up for you. Is it more adrenal related? Is it more gut related? Is it a mixture? Some women have insulin resistance, plus they have adrenal. They have both. So we have to look at everything. We can't just say, oh, you don't have two of the three, you don't have it. Dig deeper. Lab work is required. And what is common is not normal. Can we just all get on the same page? You know, how many times we've had a symptom and we went to our doctor or even Googled something, maybe, hey, my periods are heavy, or I have a lot of anxiety, I have a low libido. Oh, that's normal for being a woman. Women don't have high libidos. Who's heard that before? Or, oh, anxiety is normal once you're 40 and older. What? What? Chronic fatigue. Oh, you've had kids, you're supposed to be tired. That's another one. Mood swings. Oh, female problems. No, no. These are a lot of the symptoms we see in women with PCOS, but also we see this in women who don't have PCOS. 80% of women in this world have some type of undiagnosed or underlying hormone dysfunction and they don't even know it. That is a true statistic. 80%. It could be, it doesn't have to be PCOS, but it can be other things. And we're just told the way we feel is normal: extreme bloating, ovulation pain, unexplained infertility. We'll talk about that tonight. Excessive hair shedding, constipation, dry skin. All of these things are not normal. But I also want to mention right here, if you're experiencing these things, you are not broken. You are not broken. We just live in a society that has pretty much failed women's health for quite a long time, but we're here, and we're learning more and we're doing more and we're doing better. And the reason it's, been underlying for so long is the cause of it has relatively been unclear. But what we find in most of research, and again, we have to look at evidence-based research, not just guessing our own feelings, is it's pointing to more of a generational epigenetic issue. I just want to let everybody here know, no one here on this call gave themselves PCOS, right? Everyone knows that? Yes. Okay. It's an epigenetic condition caused by a number of things. The pinpoint answer is not, again, based on research, is not 100% clear, but it's probably because it's not a pinpoint answer. It's probably because it's a mixture of things. So One, societal pressure, constant stress over a course of women's generational lives. Women can do it all, but it's also never good enough. That energy and stress, also environmental endocrine disruptors, food quality, again, chronic stress, like I mentioned, lack of medical research on women specifically. Again, remember, women were not required to be a part of science-based research studies until 1993. So we have actually very, very little research on health specifically. And the reason they were excluded is because we have cycles. We have a period. That's the reason. Oh, it would mess up the data. I'm like, well, I think it's really good data to have. Yes, I know. I'm getting weird faces. That's true. That was the reasoning for keeping women out of studies because they didn't want the menstrual cycle to be an indicator or to be a factor and variable. It should have been a variable because it is a variable. Anyway, long story short, but PCOS specifically can be categorized as a number of things. It can be categorized as autoimmune, metabolic, endocrine. It kind of depends on how it's showing up. But we're experiencing things like heavy periods or no periods, acne, extreme period, PCOS, weight gain, all of those things. And it's usually caused by some type of imbalance hormonally in the body, such as high levels of androgens. It could also be gut related as well, like I said, or adrenal, a number of things, but ultimately it's not a simple broad brush condition. And that's why we have to go so deep into exactly what each one is and how it shows up for you. Everyone with me still? Liking it? Everyone on the same page? Yeah? Okay, perfect. Love it. Thanks for being active in the chat. I always like to see who's chatting it up. 119. Nice. Love that. All right. We're going to go into the four different types. So I'm going to go through these briefly because, like I said, I sent you a pretty beefy resource on this through email, or you've already received it. We chat in the DMs with the four different types of PCOS with specifics within each one. But I want to go ahead and dive into the four types here anyway. All right. So insulin resistance PCOS. This one's the most common. Who here knows that they have insulin resistance PCOS? You might know. That is when our insulin levels are too high comparatively, to where they should be in relation to where blood sugar should be, fasting, when we have a meal postprandial. Yeah, all awesome. Okay, a lot of people. So this is essentially when we have lost insulin sensitivity and how insulin moves blood sugar through the body. Our cells have become desensitized, meaning our muscles and just body in general are not using the glucose that we're taking in accordingly. And therefore, we have high blood sugar levels and high insulin, and it leads to a state of inflammation and rapid weight gain. Now, the reason I bring this up is because when we are getting our insulin tested, which I think is very, very, very important to do, we have to understand the difference between optimal and in range. And it's very important specifically when it comes to insulin. And this is actually specifically what I'm going to show you is from a client that we had. A client came to us and they had an insulin level, a fasted, meaning before a meal, before the first thing in the day, a fasting insulin level of 24.6. And her doctor said that was fine because it was green. This range, 2 to 225, is not fasted. It's just in general. It could be after a meal, it could be whatever. And they said it was fine. It is not fine. Optimal range for fasted insulin, meaning this is when you're healthy and you're not inflamed, is 3 to 7. That's what we're going for here. If we are 8 to 12, we're sneaking into insulin resistance. Anything over 13, you're heading into prediabetes. And she was told she was fine because it was green. Let's not look at colors, everybody. Like, I don't care what's green. I don't care what's yellow. I don't care what's red. I want to look at what's optimal. Because when you optimize insulin levels, and that's what we do with our clients who have insulin resistance, we optimize and bring their insulin levels down because it's dramatically easier not only to lose weight, but also to reduce inflammation and increase your lifespan. High insulin reduces our lifespan and causes so many issues down the line, like type 2 diabetes. Yeah, absolutely. So why would we wait? Tell me why. I'm getting all heated now. I'm getting angry. Why would we wait until someone is past the point of no return? No, I want to see it. If it's past an 8, our team is addressing it. We're like, boom, boom. We aren't doing this. Don't you agree? Wouldn't you rather be like, oh, let's handle it now. Easier, right? Yeah, absolutely. We don't wait until we're sick. On the same page, okay? take this, get fasted insulin labs. The next type of PCOS is inflammatory PCOS. This is how it shows up in the gut. So this one gets missed a lot because a lot of times in Western med, the gut is completely ignored. So this is going to present as more IBS symptoms. So if a woman has gas, bloating, acid reflux, constipation, diarrhea, anyone know if they have inflammatory PCOS or if anything this is speaking to you, you can definitely throw in the chat. Brain fog, food sensitivities. Again, you might have had to, oh, you have IBS. Here's some Metamucil. That might be you. No, no. When we have inflammatory PCOS, we usually have some type of gut dysbiosis, which essentially is an imbalance in the microbiome. So there's an imbalance of bacteria and microorganisms in the gut that we have to address head on. I definitely do. Yeah. It's again, more people have it than we think. And what I mean by gut dysbiosis, that's an imbalance, meaning if we look over here into the gut lining, a lot of times what we'll find is that when women who have inflammatory leaning PCOS, their gut lining is a mess. It's extremely compromised, meaning good and bad bacteria just go in and out. Because your gut lining is a protection barrier. And if you have nothing, if you have no barrier, you have no walls that are strong, then you're going to have an overgrowth of bacteria. Some people call that SIBO. Um, you have overgrowth and alongside parasites, all these other things, pathogens that can enter into the gut and cause lifelong issues. Now it can be addressed 100%, but we got to know what's going on, right? Because even it also too, when we have PCOS, it's more inflammatory. When you also add hormonal birth control, antibiotics, NSAIDs, PPIs, SSRIs on top of it, it makes the gut lining even worse. And then you have leaky gut. And then you're having all these other gut issues, and you're just told, oh, well, just again, take Metamucil, you're fine. And then you get a colonoscopy and everything structurally is still okay. That does not mean you don't have any issues with your gut. And we'll talk about the testing we do specifically with the gut. Also, poor gut motility. If someone's constipated, if you're not going every single day, we're going to talk about poop tonight. If you're not going every single day, what happens is the toxins in our body, the excess hormones get re-entered back into the bloodstream. And that's where you see a lot of estrogen dominance issues, which leads into a whole other thing. So, healthy gut, healthy life. And this can show up in women who don't have inflammatory PCOS too. The gut health is extremely important. And then when we look at adrenal PCOS, this one is probably the least common, but this occurs due to an irregular stress response in the body. So this can be seen when we have really high cortisol at night, low cortisol in the morning, or sometimes it's completely flatlined. We'll talk about this curve here in a second. But usually, when we're finding someone who has chronic fatigue, insomnia, they have hypothyroidism, so meaning their thyroid is now implicated, again, sluggish thyroid, like I said, and you can have overlap. A lot of women who have inflammatory do have adrenal as well. They kind of go hand in hand. And so with the adrenals, our adrenals are compromised, our stress hormone, cortisol, and cortisol is not a bad thing. That's how we wake up. It's adrenaline, it's our energy. That's a good thing, but not when it's in dysfunction. So this blue line in the morning is what we're looking for. When we wake up, we want cortisol to rise. That helps us wake up. It helps us feel good. It gives us energy throughout the day. But then as the day goes on, we want it to go down and so that we're rested and that we can go to sleep. However, some women who have adrenal PCOS, they have an opposite curve. They feel sluggish and crash. They can't even get out of bed. Anyone feel like that? Like you just cannot get your booty out of bed in the morning, no matter how much sleep you get? We might want to look here. Again, we definitely don't want to ignore it. So they can be flatline and then it rises in the evening, then they're wired and tired. Or, like I said, a complete flatline. Sometimes, again, it's just the brain to adrenal side they're not communicating, and we just have a complete flatline of cortisol too. That can happen as well. But we're looking for a waking cortisol of 13 to 19. That's optimal. But again, if you go to the doctor and they even run cortisol, good luck. The in range is 5 to 23. And so if it's in the morning and it says you're a 5, we're doing something about that. But otherwise, it could be ignored. So we have to make sure we're looking at optimal, not in range. And that's one of my biggest takeaways today. Optimal ranges, not in range. Okay, everyone's going to do that. Look at optimal, which again, since you're here live, you're going to get our free guide on that, where it has everything listed. Okay, I wanted to show you guys exactly my labs. When I was going through those pictures I showed you earlier, here are my labs. of when that was happening, or just a chunk of them. So, you know how I told you cortisol anywhere between like 14 and like 19, 13, 19, that range? My waking cortisol was 42. It was double of what it should have been. Felt like crap. And you can also see TSH, that's thyroid stimulating hormone, see how it impacted my thyroid too. I was super stressed. TSH should not be a 4, it should be like a 1. Okay. And notice my sex hormones are tanked. My progesterone is tanked. It should be a 12. I took this during my luteal phase. It was a zero point 0.7. And that makes total sense because when you are too stressed, your body is going to produce a lot of cortisol. Where does cortisol come from? Every hormone comes from cholesterol. And then there's a downstream cascade of how it's converted to ultimately get to the thing that your body wants it to get to. But if you're really stressed, your body needs to produce a lot of cortisol. Therefore, it takes a lot from pregnenolone, which your pregnenolone is what produces progesterone. So if it's called the cortisol steal. So if cortisol is stealing all of that from the pregnenolone to progesterone conversion, then you're not going to have any progesterone left. But if like, say, I went to the doctor and they would have looked at, oh, progesterone's low, here's progesterone pill, it wouldn't have done anything because my cortisol was the problem, not the progesterone. So you see why we have to look at everything collectively together because it tells a story. Hormones in relation to each other is where the magic happens, not just one marker. Yeah. Yes. Always look at everything together to tell the full story so you know what rabbit to chase. You know the root cause. And then we have post-birth control PCOS. This is what happens when women are in birth control for a long period of time. Anything over 4 years is considered chronic use. I was on hormonal birth control for 7 to 10 years straight. And not that anything's wrong with birth control, honestly. Like it can be used obviously for various cases of symptoms. And I'm not anti-birth control. What I am, is looking at educated advocacy, like having awareness of what types of symptoms it can be produced if we are on it for a long time. I would have liked to know my hair was going to fall out. Would have been cool. I would have liked to know that. So with post-birth control PCOS, what can happen is, when we come off of the pill, all these symptoms just rear their ugly head again because it didn't really do anything. It didn't fix anything. So all it did was take, oh, you have symptoms when you're 15 years old. Let's put you on birth control for 15 years. And then you're on birth control for 15 years. You get off of it in your 20s or your 30s. And then you want to try to have a kid and you can't because all your symptoms from when you were 15 came back. That happens a lot. And it's extremely unfortunate. We just have to know these things, right? And understand. And also, what can happen post BC is a rebound effect, meaning for years we shunted our endogenous hormone production, which is the production that we do internally in our body, with exogenous hormones, meaning when we come off that exogenous hormone, endogenously our body is like, it rebounds. And that's when a lot of women lose their hair. They have a lot of extreme symptoms. Now, usually this should resolve on its own. But if someone also had a different type of PCOS underlying as well, it's not. And so it just elongated all these things. And so that can be super frustrating, super, super frustrating. And overall, from the PCOS perspective, the one thing I like to drive home here, because we have to talk about ovulation. When we look at ovulation and how our body releases eggs every single month, or an egg, that's how it's supposed to, again, that's a vital sign of health. When we have high androgens, which can happen a lot when we have PCOS, but not always, a lot, it can impact our body's ability to ovulate accordingly. So what can happen is our HPO axis is broken. So our communication between I shouldn't say broken, that sounds really aggressive. It's just impaired. Our ovaries to our brain connection is impaired. It's not functioning properly because when androgens are high and insulin is high, it turns into a negative feedback loop. And so they keep making each other higher and higher. And when that happens, it throws off luteinizing hormone and follicular stimulating hormone. And so these two right here are extremely important in making sure that we produce mature follicles and that we ovulate on time. If LH, which happens with PCOS, is through the roof, it's 3 times or higher more than FSH, you're not going to ovulate. So we have to figure out if LH is too high comparatively to FSH, why is it that way? It can be high androgens, high insulin, et cetera. It could also be gut related. But when we tackle that thing, when we bring insulin down, when we manage androgens, that's when a woman's period comes back. So it's not just go on birth control. It's what exactly is causing a woman to not ovulate and attacking that thing head on so that she can. And we've had many women that we've worked with who got their periods back and then they got pregnant naturally. And, that's a sign of health, right? And so ultimately, we want to look at what can we do from an insulin perspective, but also some natural ways to combat high androgens. Saw palmetto, spearmint tea, nettle root, black cohosh, licorice root. There's so many ways to bring both of those to healthier levels to help women ovulate more often and then consistently month to month. So much healthier. It's so much to better understand versus not knowing where it's coming from. Was that helpful? I know I went deep there. I went deep. Give me in the chat. I want to make sure everyone's still with me. I don't want to fall asleep. I'm getting sciencey. Give me a emoji. Give me a fun one. I want to see some emojis I haven't seen yet before. I want to make sure everyone's vibing in the chat. I just got a I was about to say, I'm like, no one's vibing. Oh, pancakes. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Okay. Love it. Love the tongues. I like the mixture. I appreciate y'all being creative. So you're probably like, girl, Alicia, I think I have this type. I'm not really sure. I was never really explained it. The symptoms really kind of seem similar to me. How do you know? We test, we don't guess. So it's less also about knowing your type and more about seeing what markers are suboptimal in you personally and addressing those head on. Because whether a woman comes to us and she has PCOS, whether she has Hashimoto's, whether she has any type of estrogen dominance, cool. Let's dig deeper and see how it's showing up for you because every woman is different. And so there are 3 tests that we love to go through. And again, we take care of this for our clients. We make sure the proper testing gets done so we know what we're dealing with. Because when you have proper testing, you can create a roadmap. And when you create a roadmap, you can drive down the road and you can get to your destination a lot easier than if you don't have. Could you imagine y'all like driving right now without your iPhone, like without your phone GPS on your car? Anyone here used to use MapQuest? I'm gonna age myself, but anyone remember the days where you had to print it out and just hope for the best? Yeah, so printing it out and using MapQuest and hoping for the best is like we're gonna put that to the side. We're gonna move on. This is what testing is. I love that everyone's yes, thank you. Um, so proper testing is like using your smartphone in your car for GPS right now. You get there. You get there. So we do blood panels. This is more diagnostic for general like hormone dysfunction. GI map, this is an at-home stool test. Yes, you have to shit in a box and send it into the mail. It's okay. It's great information, I'm telling you. GI map, that's again for inflammatory PCOS and looking at what's going on in the gut. And then there's the Dutch, it's a urine test at home as well. These are also links after the call tomorrow. I am sending you all these slides. So you can click on these slides and actually, if you want to, these are actual links to what we get for our clients. We'll have blood panels, GI map, and Dutch. So yes, test, don't guess. And now the connection between PCOS and fat loss, because here's the thing. The first law of thermodynamics always applies, meaning energy balance. A caloric deficit, of course, is always required to lose fat loss, no matter what type of human being you are. That's just thermodynamics. However, when you have a hormone consideration like PCOS, it can make achieving a caloric deficit harder and sometimes unrealistic and unhealthy. It can adjust hunger cues, insulin levels, blood sugar. All of those things implicate how our body stores fat, like how quickly we can store fat. Again, how satiated we are versus hunger cues. And so we have to remember that it's more than just calories in and calories out, but calories do matter. And what ways and considerations, make it harder to achieve, like I mentioned before, insulin and blood sugar and cortisol dysregulation, leptin and ghrelin, hunger hormones. There was a time, again, when I showed you that picture before where that was a struggle. I would wake up in the middle of the night starving. Like my hunger cues were every which way because I had insulin resistance, I had all these things. And I would wake up and I would have to eat or else I could not go back to bed. And it was like that at least 3 or 4 times a week. And so I was not sleeping. I was overeating because I was starving all the time. And some women, they might feel this in the sense of like they have constant cravings, food noise. That is this. There are people on this earth who have no food noise, who don't crave things at all. And then there are people that they crave things after they've gotten done. They just ate and they're already thinking about the next meal. That is what I'm talking about. That's dysregulation, leptin and ghrelin. Um, Chronic bloating and SIBO, inflammation in the gut will throw off, again, how our nutrient distribution, our partitioning, irregular bowel movements absolutely can lead to more fat storage. Metabolic adaptation, meaning we have weight loss resistance. Our body keeps score every time we do a fad diet, every time we chronically do a diet or extreme cleanse, our body, our metabolism will downregulate. Our thyroid will adjust because that's what it's supposed to do. So if you do a diet constantly over and over and over again, that's why it feels harder the next time you do it. So put that on top of an endocrine condition, and you're in for a treat. And also estrogen dominance. This is where we store fat in our body. Low progesterone. Progesterone levels impact our ability to metabolize carbohydrates, and it deals with excess water retention. Hypothyroidism. If, again, we constantly put stress on our thyroid, we're not going to have a high metabolic rate. So, all of these things combined, it gets really, really, really challenging to lose weight and to feel your best and to have energy. And you're wondering why everyone around you, it feels like they can eat whatever they want and you can't. And that's really frustrating. And so, there's a difference between losing weight when you have a hormone and gut consideration versus when you don't. So this girl over here, she's just chilling. Her hormone panel looks great. This person over here, when they're trying to lose weight, she might have PCOS. They're doing the same thing, but it's way harder for this gal. And our job, my job, and the coaches on my team, our job is to over time make this rock smaller because we don't have to carry it. But it absolutely feels like we're carrying it when we're meant to feel crazy and we're gaslit, like our hormones don't matter and we just are lazy and have to try harder. No, we're going to figure out the root cause of exactly how it's showing up, what's going on, so we can make that rock really, really small and then throw it away. So then again, we're symptom free and we have the life that we deserve. Everyone want that? Who wants to throw the rock away? Is there a rock emoji? I wonder. I'm going to look it up. Rock. There is. Everyone give me a rock emoji. Give it to myself. Everyone give me a rock emoji if you're ready to take that rock and just throw it. You want to throw it out. Oh, I like the trash. The trash edition was good. Yes, we're going to throw the rock out because bullshit. We don't need to. We do not need to carry the rock anymore. And these few slides here I'm going to share. I'm not going to go through them super deep because I don't want you guys to be with me forever. I usually go like 8 minutes over, just so everyone knows. I can never get it through the hour. But I have a few slides here that goes deeper into estrogen dominance, specifically low progesterone, why that can happen, thyroid health, so that when I send these to you, you'll have as much as you can have to absorb. But again, it's a little bit too much to go into tonight, but those are there for you. I do want to go into infertility. Unexplained infertility is not unexplained. What we find a lot in our coaching is that when a woman is struggling with fertility, which happens a lot with PCOS, it's that there just wasn't enough testing done or incomplete testing done to figure out a conclusion as to why. Because again, we just talked about again, pituitary gland releasing those hormones of the brain ovarian connection. Ovulation must occur. But if we're not even looking at why ovulation isn't happening, then how are we going to have it? Right? If we're just assuming, oh, they have PCOS, they don't ovulate. Oh, well, fertility treatments. Okay, there's a time and place for sure. However, what if we look at what exactly is causing someone to not ovulate and help them ovulate by addressing that head on and looking at progesterone levels, right? All of these things is what if someone was, again, high cortisol, tanked progesterone? Do you think I could have gotten pregnant at that point if I wanted to? No. But did I need fertility treatments? No, I just needed my cortisol to come down. I just needed to reduce that stress so that the cortisol still wasn't happening. My progesterone was healthy. Like starting there because other factors need to be considered. Okay. So I'm just and super passionate about that. I feel like fertility industries can be super just predatory. So looking at exactly what is going on. And again, that doesn't mean that fertility treatments aren't great and they can be used for sure, but I feel like they're just jump the gun. Jump the gun. Now, what do most women with PCOS do and why it's a problem? And so the mistake a lot of women with PCOS make is that when they experience more weight gain, low energy, brain fog, bloating, they go to their doctor and they hope, again, are receiving a sustainable weight loss solution, which makes total sense to do that. Anytime we're feeling something's wrong, we absolutely should go to our doctor, 110%. They need to be filled in. However, a doctor does not have my job. I don't have their job. So most doctors receive less than 20 total hours. Like how Sharon's still looking for the rock. I love that you're still looking. Most doctors receive less than 20 hours total on nutrition and metabolism education. Yet, so many of our clients will go to their doctor and their doctor's giving diet plans. I'm like, what are you doing? We had to have 1,000 or more. Like dietitians and nutritionists had to have at least 1,000 to do what we do from a nutrition perspective. So it's all about going to the right person for the right thing. And so when we're getting just prescribed medications as a one size fits all with no sustainable lifestyle solutions, we're left stuck. We're left like, I don't know what to do now. And I don't blame anyone for feeling that. That's how I felt too. And then we continue to gain weight. So we can't keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result. And this is actually a direct conversation with one of our clients who works with my head coach, Alex here, who she she sent this to us. She's like, Alex, did Alex tell you guys I finally got diagnosed with PCOS because of my blood work with you all? Like we made her get blood work because we were like, something's weird here. We need me to get blood work. So she finally got the appropriate blood work and was diagnosed. And because she's been struggling to get pregnant. And so she handed her doctor the blood work we got for her, and she finally got a diagnosis. And she was like, finally, I have an answer. Like, I know what's going on here. And so I explained to her, this is why. This is why we get comprehensive labs, so all of you are empowered and know what's going on. And then she also said, which I loved, she said, my new OB, by the way, is super into it. She low key wants to connect because she admits that they're not taught that stuff in medical school. And she wishes she had this kind of education, is working to get on that side. Let's just clap it up for Kate's doctor because that's usually not what happens. Usually, what happens is they think I'm crazy and they think, oh, that's woo woo, whatever. I'm like, is it? Because we've helped over 2,000 people at this point, and the women they felt the best they ever have. But okay, okay. But anyway, that's the energy we're looking for, getting proper testing done. And so that's what I want to talk with you all about tonight is exactly, I went through all that stuff, sciencey stuff, the types, all of it, but I want you to learn how to execute it. And this is exactly what we do in my program to help the women that we help so that they can get from point A to point B without the bullshit, without the gaslighting, or just taking years to figure it out. It should not take years to figure this out. Okay. That's just insanity. So this is exactly why we created what's called, I'm going to share with you exactly what it is, the root cause formula. It's our system, 4 steps to get down to the why, the root cause in the first place, because we're actually addressing the root, right? We're not guessing. We're not just looking at, oh, you're tired. Well, that's what it's like being a parent. We're not doing that anymore. Okay. If someone's chronically fatigued, if they're missing periods, if they're seeing rapid weight gain, we run testing. We figure it out so that we prevent the women that we're working with from losing weight, regaining it, or just not losing any and consistently gaining because we're looking at your hormone health as the focus. And that helps everything improve. It is so much easier to maintain a healthy weight when we're actually improving our health from the inside and knowing what's going on. So the very, very first step is we have to look at data. We have to test. And so what we do are 2 internal assessments. We do our hormone optimization assessment and our gut restore. We have to look at hormone health and gut health at the same time. I don't care if someone doesn't have gut symptoms. We have to look there because more often than not, they are absolutely mixed. So we have to look at both and testing. Like the testing I shared with you before, we have to look at specifically, do we need blood? Do we need a GI? Do we need a Dutch? Like what exactly is going on here? Alongside who they are as a person. Because my team, we can build the most beautiful plan in the world, but if they can't do it, if it's not executable, then what's the point? It has to be both. We have to look at data. We have to look at what does someone's body need right now to do X, Y, and Z, but also how can they get it done? I'm assuming y'all are busy, right? Is anyone here just sitting around knitting all day? Just like nothing to do, nothing on their plate. Any plan will work for them because they have all the time and resources in the world. No, you don't. You got to be realistic, okay? Does everyone here want to take 100 supplements a day? Probably not. Do you want to spend money on that? Probably not. So we have to look at what is going to move you forward along with what you're going to enjoy. What is actually going to work for you? Because you know what works? Things that you can do. Actionable takeaways, like things that will actually move the needle forward that are reasonable for you. And we do that, again, by looking at that data. We then can build out a flexible nutrition strategy because ultimately, if you have no data, you have no roadmap, you don't know where to go. So we have to use that information. And a big mistake that I see a lot of women with PCOS make is that, and again, no fault to anyone here, and including myself, is that toxic diet culture just tells us to eat less. We just do keto. We just remove carbs. Oh, I have insulin resistance. I'll just do low carb. I'll do keto. I'll do intermittent fasting. I'll do all these things. When it's like, well, is that actually what we should be doing? We have no idea because there was no data. There was no lab testing. There was nothing to actually tell us what's going to help us. So we have to look at function and flexibility. Function meaning what types of food sources are going to support my body right now? Because my type of PCOS ain't the same as like Kelly or Tessa or Rachel or Tracy. Like all of you are different people. And so you have to do different things. There's nothing wrong with that. That's, you have to, you know? So what is going to support your body the best? Well, ultimately making sure it's sustainable. Flexibility. I don't want y'all doing cleanses and weird diets and food elimination, detox shit. We're going to throw that out the window. It does not work. I don't care what like cortisol cocktail Susie Q down the street has or what she's selling you. It isn't true. We have to look at the truth, data, labs, what's going to be sustainable, what types of foods support you hormonally, which again, I have a list here of all these foods here in a second that do different things hormonally. What do you need? Right? Everyone's different. And first and foremost, obviously, you know, in the general sense, because I want to give you some information, I don't want to be too general here, but in a general sense, we need to make sure fiber is high. We have to eat a healthy whole food diet, which duh, we all know that. We can't be under eating. We have to hydrate. We have to make sure protein is up. And that's all good and great, but it's like, well, how do we do that? Everyone's life is a little bit different. So what would that look like to you? Everyone's going to be different here. I also shared a PCOS grocery list here to make it more digestible for y'all. But ultimately, all of this can be true, but how? Like how fitting it into your life is the most important thing. And everyone's different. And like I said, I'm not going to go through every single one, but I'm going to send you these slides. But all of these foods are our favorite for hormone and gut health. And they all have different, you know, properties in regards to supporting your body. Share those. Also supplements. Supplements aren't evil. They aren't bad. They're great tools if used correctly and in the right amount, all of those things. But these are some helpful supplements we see work really well with a lot of women with PCOS. And again, some general information on each of those. So those are yours. But from the workout side too, another thing that we see a lot of when PCOS do is they just do random IG influencer workouts, or maybe they go to, again, like Orange Theory or Peloton. There's nothing wrong with those things. However, if we don't know what your body needs, it's no wonder why you're still frustrated. It's no wonder why I'm working really, really hard, but I'm not seeing the weight come off. That's so frustrating. Does anyone feel like that? Do you feel like you're busting your butt, but you're not seeing anything happen? I see a lot of head nods. Okay. Okay, we have to figure out why, right? Because we're doing more of the same is not going to just be it. We have to know, okay, if XYZ isn't working for you, why? And let's do the right thing. And usually, 9 times out of 10, a strength training based approach is appropriate. It's so healthy for women, and especially with hormone conditions, helps insulin resistance, all the things, and strength and bone health, all of that. But it still has to be the right intensity for you. And there's different seasons of life. Like there are definitely seasons of my journey where I really couldn't do a whole lot of anything. My cortisol was a 42, y'all. I needed just to sit and go on walks with my dog. But that doesn't mean I do that forever. I had to eventually work in, incorporating strength training back in that was not implicating my cortisol, and that's where I am now. So we have to look at where you're at and do what you need to do based on that period of time. But on average, we typically recommend strength training 2 to 3 times a week. But again, there are instances where we might go, girl, we need you to walk. We need you to walk. Or we might say, hey, you recover really, really well. Let's do 4. That's okay. Like it just depends on everyone's, starting point where they're at. And we typically recommend, incorporating more lower intensity, moderate. Doesn't mean you can't do some high intensity workouts here and there. I think there's benefit to everything, but it's all in balance with what is showing up for you in labs and what we're seeing and where you want to go versus it just being a modge podge. And we also have to manage stress. I can't stress it enough. Setting boundaries. Stop people pleasing. There's a little lifestyle recommendation. Stop people pleasing. Make self-care a priority. And that's why you all are here right now. You've made your self-care a priority because you're on this call with me, which I'm about to go like 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes over. Probably close to 7. So I won't keep you guys that long, I promise. But we have to look at our life and what areas that we need to improve specifically for us, whether it's strength training, whether it's managing stress, getting outside, feet in the grass, getting, just controlling emotional regulation, those types of things. Everyone's different. And the biggest piece I can just give you with this presentation is you are not alone. You also do not have to do this alone. I created this company years ago, and I still have my own coach. I run a health coaching company and I have my own coach. My coaches have their own coaches. Why? Because we know how important it is. And I know I'm a human being. Like, let's just be, I don't want to figure out my own stuff. Like, I want help with that so I can help everybody else, right? Like, we don't have to go it alone. And I want to get there. I want to learn quick. I want to do the right thing. I'm done screwing around. Okay. So I even have my own coach. And having that support of learning not just the what, a lot of what tonight is the what, because there's no way that, and again, this is just side note, if you ever get in a masterclass like this, or you ever see a piece of content on Instagram where someone's like, I can reverse your PCOS with this diet plan, here it is, and they give it to you, even if you paid for it and they didn't do any type of analysis, that is so dangerous and it drives me crazy. But it makes you feel like, oh, I got a meal plan or I got this PCOS workout plan. I just want to strangle those people, like the coaches that do that. You can't reverse PCOS. That's outside scope of practice to say that. That is, you can't use that term. But also, there's no way to create a meal plan for someone with PCOS. And there's so many things to consider, the type of PCOS that they have, like what they've done in the past, what would work best for them. So just please don't fall for that stuff. You really can't. You have to have someone look at your unique situation. So that way you understand the how and the why for you, not just someone with PCOS. And like I always say, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So you don't have to be alone. Being alone is boring and lame. And the key factor of success, and we're going to take a turn here. We're going to take a turn. If anyone knows how I am on Instagram, you're not going to be surprised. But if you don't, well, you're in for a treat. So the truth being, most women aren't stuck because they're broken or they have an endocrine condition or their PCOS or their situation home. Like they aren't stuck because of that. Women get stuck because we've been trained to give our power away. I want to explain what that means. We have been trained to give our power away. This is decision making. What keeps women stuck is not the fact that we don't know. It's not the fact that we can't. It's the fact that we have been taught to defer decision making. We ask a million people before we make a decision about something. We ask our partner, permission from our husband. We ask our friends. We think about, like, oh, I just don't know. Indecision. Your intuition is your point North Star. We as women need to learn how to listen to it. Society has told us that we don't know what we're doing. Yes, we do. Are you kidding? Women are the most intuitive human beings on this planet. You know when something's right or wrong for you. All right. But what we get stuck is we don't trust that feeling. And then we ask a million people what we should do, especially when it comes to our health. No, we're not doing that anymore. You all know what's best for your health. You're the one living it. So I want you all on this call today. I know we talked a lot about science, PCOS. This is the most powerful message I can give you is you are the best decision maker for yourself, period. So if you're feeling like something is off, you advocate. If you're feeling like I need to work, you do it. I feel like I need the support, you do it because you know what you need to do for yourself. Everyone here, give me a fire emoji. I want the fire emoji specifically. If you're ready, it's like, hey, I'm a decision maker. I'm not, I am the best person to make decisions for me. No one else. My intuition knows what's up. I know what's up. Everyone else can sit down. They don't live in my body. They don't live in my life. They don't have PCOS like I do. They don't know. I do. That's the energy I want y'all going with for the remainder of your forever, like your life. That stops today. Because that's where I see most women struggle is they aren't the ones making the decisions. Other people do. No more. We're done. Agree? Give me some head nods. We're not doing that shit. Love it. Like I said, if you follow me on Instagram, like that wasn't a surprise. If you don't, you're like, phew, that took a turn. It did. It did. So the chances are you do not need more education. You know what y'all need? You need implementation and self-belief because I don't care if you've messed up before. I have too. Failure is not failure. Failure is learning. All of you can absolutely achieve the health of your dreams. 1,000%. We see it every day. I saw it with my own life. No matter how bleak, no matter how many times you've tried, you absolutely can. The problem is we probably don't need to absorb more information. Yes, information is great. Education is amazing. Obviously, I come from that world. However, constantly wanting more and more information with no end is also delay. It's also deferring. Action is what a lot of people need. And we need help with implementation. Like, okay, I have this information. How do I get there? How do I implement it for me? And also believing in myself because no one else can do that for me. Who cares if I failed with the last program or this doctor gaslit me, or maybe I hired a coach before it didn't work out. Oh, well. Oh, well. What are we going to do? So finding the right support, the right energy, the right person to help you is a lot like dating. Did anyone here just marry the first person they ever dated? If you did, don't put it in the chat. I have some random person. I did. Most of us don't. And we're so thankful, right? That we didn't just stick with the first one that came along. Absolutely not, right? Or we've never been married. Yeah, like you choose you. You know what I mean? Ultimately, though, we have to know that just because something didn't work out in the past doesn't mean it won't in the future. And we have to continuously bet on ourselves. But I also know it's hard. It's hard. A lot of us have been through the ringer. A lot of us are nervous to jump into something new. I get it. And I also understand like there are financial barriers. And so something that we do just for master classes is that we give away a completely free ride of coaching for 3 months. So if any of this resonated with you, I'm talking to you. But also too, like, again, you don't have to. I'm not sitting here like, oh, you have to do it. No, you don't. I want you to walk away with as much information as possible, but also it'd be remiss of me and really silly to not be like, hey, we can help you if you want. You don't have to take it, but if you want to, we can. So every masterclass for only those who attended live, we give away a completely free 3 months of coaching so that we can help you and reduce that financial barrier. And we also give $20,000 of additional parcels to a bunch of other women who apply. And so we take that investment down even more for those women as well. And so if you've listened to this whole presentation, you're like, I walked away with good information. I really vibe with this. I want to give it a whirl. Then text the word coaching to the number I've been spamming you all with. You've been getting texts from me like for days. You know what it is. But if you need the number, it's 833-330-1134. If you text the word coaching to that number, you'll get responded with an application. That application to apply has a section in it that says, why do you want the scholarship, etc. Give me fill it out. Make sure you do it. Give me a good reason. I choose a free winner from that. So any applications that I get, I'm going to go through tonight and tomorrow, and choose a winner for a free ride and choose my partials. So fill out the application. I'll probably take it down by 5 o'clock tomorrow. So anytime between now and 5 p.m. tomorrow, please, please, please fill it out so that you can win a free ride of coaching and finally get this resolved. And if you don't get the free ride, you at least get a partial scholarship, which brings the investment down even more. And so anyway, I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. There we go. So yeah, obviously you can take advantage of that as get out of here. Get out of here. There we go. Okay. I would love to see as many of you as possible take advantage of that, but also too, even if you don't, I'm so happy that you're here. And I hope that this was educational. I hope that you're able to walk away with some solutions and answers. And like I said, I will be emailing the slides and a recording of this presentation to all of you probably tomorrow once it's fully downloaded. And then all of you can have it. And there's also links in there to various things, like the links to the testing, all of that. But again, if you were on this call and you're like, you know what? I've been struggling for a long time and I'm over it. Like I'm making decisions for myself. I want to learn more about how I can choose me. Then there's no harm in applying. There's no harm in figuring, seeing, if you get the full ride, which would be amazing, or even a partial, just to learn more and support yourselves the best way possible. Cool. All right, y'all. Well, I really, really, really hope this was informative. I hope it was educational. Let's just give really quick the coaches a round of applause too for answering the questions in the chat because I can't do both. I wish I could do both at the same time, but it would be crazy. So give them some love. Again, if you have questions though about anything, feel free to text me, email me. That is really me or my assistant Cassie, because there's a lot of you, but there's one of us. Usually it's me. So if you have any questions, please let me know. And of course, like I said, I will be announcing the full ride winner by Wednesday morning. So if this again sounds interesting to you, please, please, please text coaching to the number I've been texting you guys basically for the last 3 days and get the application apply. And I'll be choosing winner tomorrow, announcing it Wednesday. And then any partial winners, you will know if you were awarded a partial scholarship by Wednesday too. And we'll chat. We'll get on a call and see if this is a good fit. And again, just a reminder, getting a partial, there's no commitment. We get on a call and we talk about everything that you need and you have questions and all of that and see how we can support you. Sound good? All right, y'all. Thank you so, so, so much for being here. I hope you have a great rest of your night. And of course, don't be a stranger. Love y'all. See you later.